I've been to the mountaintop. These powerful words reverberated as Martin Luther King Jr. stood before a crowd in Memphis, Tennessee, on April 3, 1968. Little did they know, this moment would be among his last. The air was thick with anticipation, and King's voice filled with conviction painted a picture of hope for a future free from racial injustice. Echoing an underlying urgency, he felt the weight of his own mortality looming over him. The American South in 1968 was a battleground for civil rights, fraught with violence and deep-seated divisions. Protests echoed through the streets, where voices yearning for equality fought against oppression. The civil rights movement had made strides, yet a lingering crisis remained. King was acutely aware of the peril surrounding him, knowing each rally could be his last. That night, Memphis pulsed with hope and resolve. King had come to support the sanitation workers' strike, emblematic of the fight for civil rights and dignity for all workers. Crowds gathered, driven not only by King's message but by a fierce commitment to injustice. Strikes had erupted across the city, and the scent of determination mixed with the fear of violent retribution permeated the air. Tensions crackled, the backdrop of desolation stark as discarded refuse littered the streets, a symbol of the sanitation workers' struggle for respect and fair wages. Just months earlier, King had been deeply shaken by the assassination of his friend, Robert F. Kennedy. The political landscape was riddled with fear, threatening to engulf King. As he prepared to speak, he reached deep into his purpose, to inspire those around him to rise and act. The sense of urgency was palpable. The struggle for justice felt like walking a tightrope, every step a reminder of the consequences of failure. The night was charged with solidarity, people united in a shared commitment to justice. King felt the weight of history and the dreams of ancestors who had fought against unimaginable odds. He was aware he was about to deliver a speech that would forever alter America's narrative of freedom. As he stepped to the podium, King's presence commanded attention. It was a modest setting, the Mason Temple alive with flickering candles illuminating faces eager and anxious. His voice resonated through the space, rich with conviction. He spoke with sorrow and hope, framing the struggle for civil rights as a moral imperative, recalling not just victories but sacrifices made along the way. The pain of lives lost and families torn apart echoed in his words. He painted a vivid picture of the struggle, calling upon the rich history of African American resilience. "I've been to the mountaintop," he proclaimed, a poignant metaphor encapsulating both his vision and weariness. He extended an invitation to share in the struggle for a just society, painting a future where children would not be judged by skin color but by character. This radical hope urged listeners forward in their quest for change. As he spoke, he could feel the heartbeat of the crowd synchronized with his own, a collective yearning for justice that filled the room with energy. Yet, even as he inspired hope, King acknowledged stark realities. He spoke candidly about the threats looming over him, sharing the fears that haunted him. "I am not worried about anything. I am not fearing any man," he said, yet his heart knew the price of this fight was heavy. He urged his audience not to succumb to despair. Instead, he rallied them to continue the fight for justice, to echo the lessons of nonviolence even in the face of hatred. Surrounded by the echoes of the past and the weight of the present, King reaffirmed the spirit of the movement. His soaring words became a vision that would resonate long after his last breath, encapsulating his life's work and igniting the flame of justice for generations. "We are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream," he declared, invoking the essence of American ideals. His words transcended rhetoric, they urged individuals to recognize the profound urgency of their struggle. As King continued, his voice became a beacon for those yearning for equality. He articulated fears of potential loss, a reminder that peace would not be handed down freely. Yet, he called for resilience, urging people to embrace love amid hatred, to meet violence with nonviolence. His philosophy was an active force, designed to dismantle walls of segregation and injustice. Here, the atmosphere thickened, voices joined in fervor, not just listening but becoming a part of something larger than themselves. King's passionate rhetoric, underscored by a profound understanding of humanity, bridged dreams of countless individuals striving for a better life. Hope persisted, nurtured into a powerful movement rippling across the nation. It was a movement deeply entwined with the ongoing struggles of African Americans, from Jim Crow laws in the South to systemic inequalities proliferating throughout urban America. As the sun dipped beneath the horizon, King stepped onto the stage at the Mason Temple, the energy palpable. The crowd looked up at him expectantly. This was King's defining moment, a culmination of years of struggle, sacrifice, and a dream burning in his heart. The flicker of candlelight danced like hope itself, illuminating the faces of those who had traveled far and wide to hear him speak. With the microphone before him, King filled the space. "Let us rise up and meet the challenge of the day," he urged. Here was a man who understood that true change required hope and action, a profound connection that reached beyond the physical realm to touch the very essence of humanity itself. King painted a vivid picture of African American struggles, speaking of the injustices plaguing the nation. But his voice rose toward light, calling forth a future where justice flowed like water. His words served as an invocation, awakening the conscience of the nation. The imagery of children, pure and innocent, growing up amidst equality struck a chord, resonating within the hearts of many. It was in that moment of realization that collective tears mingled with resolute determination. In that temple, King's rhetoric filled every corner, resonating in the hearts of listeners, eyes glistened with tears. His vision transcended rhetoric, guiding spirits in the murky waters of despair. Nonviolence was a moral weapon, and freedom would not be a gift but a right reclaimed through courage and unity. The thought of a united front against oppression sparked kinship among the crowd, a silent agreement to stand together, to face the battles ahead. As he called for collective rise, a sense of community ignited among the crowds. "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere," he proclaimed, underscoring the urgency of their mission. Tears streamed down faces, not of sorrow but rekindled hope. This was King at his most profound, wielding words like a sword, forging a path to a promised land of equality. His profound declaration hung in the air, filling the hearts of the audience with a mix of hope and responsibility. With his final words hanging in the air, a collective promise was made: they would rise together, committed to a brighter tomorrow. Amidst the echoes of prophecy, the seeds of change were sown deep in the hearts of a hopeful nation. Each individual felt the weight of that promise. The burden of history rested on their shoulders, but so did the power to shape a future filled with justice. Days later, Martin Luther King Jr. would be assassinated, leaving a void filled with loss but illuminated by a relentless spark of hope. His powerful orations became anthems of resilience, etched into the fabric of society. The shockwaves of his death struck a chord, igniting outrage and sorrow across the nation. In the immediate aftermath of his death, grief enveloped the nation. Yet, amid sorrow, a realization dawned: King's legacy transformed. His vision of a world united in compassion became a beacon of hope for generations. Mourners filled the streets, igniting a flame that could not be extinguished. The clarion call to justice rang out, not just in the wake of loss, but as an enduring reminder of the power of collective action. King's dream lived on in actions of countless individuals. The civil rights movement pressed on, inspired by King's courage. The essence of his message infused every stride toward justice as the movement transcended time. His influence beckoned others to the cause, uniting disparate groups in the struggle for a society where justice was not an ideal but a reality. The 1960s, a decade throbbing with the tumult of social upheaval, was marked not just by King's speeches but by the realities of a nation confronting its deepest injustices. King's presence in the movement, his calm demeanor, his unwavering belief in nonviolence, and his deep faith, became a lifeline for many. That struggle was painted against the harsh backdrop of fire hoses and police dogs unleashed on peaceful marchers in Birmingham, Alabama, in 1963. The haunting images brought stark visibility to the brutality that African Americans faced. King himself became a pivotal figure, mobilizing thousands in marches, sit-ins, and campaigns against injustice, often facing arrest and violent opposition. In countless meetings and rallies, King called for unity among all races, urging white allies to join the struggle for equality. His vision was clear: justice was a shared responsibility. King believed that the fight for civil rights extended beyond race to embrace issues of economic justice, education, and labor rights, an all-encompassing struggle for human dignity. He often invoked the powerful notion that we may have all come on different ships, but were in the same boat now. This metaphor encapsulated his belief that despite our historical differences, we all share the same journey toward justice. In 1964, King received the Nobel Peace Prize, an honor recognizing his nonviolent approach to the civil rights movement. This recognition amplified his voice globally. He spoke of justice and peace, of a dream where freedom could ring from every village and every hamlet across America. Yet, as he traveled the world to spread this message, a sense of foreboding deepened within him. The threats against him and his family increasingly loomed large. The struggles against racism felt more urgent than ever, and he grappled with the profound reality that the fight was far from over. The haunting question, "Will I be around to see the fruits of my labor?" lingered in King's mind as he sought comfort in prayer, seeking the strength to carry on. His thoughts danced between the ecstasy of hope and the agony of despair, each moment steeped in the complexity of the struggle. Yet, each time he stood before his audience, King's resolve echoed, urging them to rise above their fears and continue the fight for justice and equality. The very essence of his being became a testament to the power of faith in action. Months before his death, King traveled to Chicago, where he confronted the realities of housing discrimination and poverty in the North. His presence awakened a newfound urgency, as the movement faced criticism for its slow progress. King sought to broaden the agenda beyond segregation. He pushed to confront economic disparities that poverty bred. He recognized that civil rights could not be achieved in isolation from social and economic justice. The imagery of a house divided became a powerful motif, as he implored the nation to unite, addressing the systemic inequalities that affected various communities. In the face of mounting challenges, every speech became a clarion call, each word a call to action. King revered the principles of nonviolence as the only viable path forward. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that, he insisted, embodying a message of profound resilience. He sought to instill courage among listeners, reminding them that by embracing love against hatred, they would pave the way for lasting change. At the Mason Temple, he evoked not only his unwavering commitment but also the shared hopes of countless individuals. King stood as a symbol of courage, urging listeners to envision the possibilities of a future where justice reigned, where communities would rebuild together in solidarity. His voice wove imagery of vibrant neighborhoods, flourishing schools, and children growing without fear or limitation. The power of possibility enveloped the room. As he spoke, King's imagery painted vivid portraits of children growing up in a world devoid of hatred, of families thriving together, regardless of color. The temple echoed with amens and shouts of agreement. There was a communion in that space, a shared understanding that they were all part of a larger narrative. The local sanitation workers, the ones he had come to support, felt seen and valued in that moment, their struggles intertwined with the broader fight for justice. As night fell deeper, the power of King's words seemed to radiate from the very walls of the Mason Temple. Eyes shone with determination, hearts beat as one in unison with his call for justice. And then he invoked the dream, proclaiming, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed," igniting a fierce passion in the hearts of all who gathered. The collective energy surged, resonating with the hope that together they could conquer the darkness. In those final moments of that fateful night, King stood at the precipice of history. His impassioned dreams and hopes would become the bedrock of future movements, breaking barriers and reshaping the very fabric of society. This was not just a battle for civil rights, this was a fight for the soul of the nation, for a promise that had too long been deferred.